Thunderfang the Chaos Dragon. He is one of the most recent catalogued villains that we've had over the time of Ninjago, appearing in Dragon's Rising Season 3 Part 1 and 2, and having certainly a debatable role in that season at best. He has caused a lot of debate over the course of the year where we've had him, a lot of people for and against the character. I in particular have definitely had a lot of critiques for the character. I've talked about him in a very large capacity, given a lot of critique, even dedicating entire videos to it. But since that time, and over the few months where I haven't really mentioned Thunderfang, he has most certainly been in the back of my brain. After a rewatch of Dragon's Rising as well, it is certainly a character that's definitely been at the forefront of my own mind. And I realise upon retrospect, I think over the time that we've had him, I think I've been maybe a little bit too harsh on him. I once dubbed him one of the most failed and disappointing villains that we have ever seen. And to an extent, I do still believe that opinion. I actually do still somewhat stand by it. But I think it's a bit more nuanced than that. So in today's video, I want to go through Thunderfang, revisit him before the official drop of Season 4 Part 2, and discuss how I feel about him this far on. So without any further ado, let's get into I've been thinking about Thunderfang. So in case you aren't fully remembering who Thunderfang is, let me just quickly give you a crash course refresher. Thunderfang, also known as the Shatter Dragon of Chaos, was the former highest Arc Dragon after the Firstborn from the First Land, as well as a former general of the Dragon Army who possessed the power of Chaos. Being the source of the powers used by the Forbidden Five, Thunderfang wielded an extraordinary capability to conjure storms that unleashed devastation, drawing upon the chaotic powers fueled from the souls of the Oni that he had absorbed during the war. Motivated by his numerous victories in the war against the Oni, he aspired to join the Source Dragons and become the Source Dragon of Chaos. However, he was deemed unworthy, prompting him to seek retribution. He was ultimately defeated by the Arc Dragon of Focus in the City of Temples, resulting in his imprisonment beneath the Storm Mountain of the First Land. He then chose the Forbidden Five to receive his corrupted energies and enact his plan to free himself and take his spot amongst the Source Dragons. And this brings me actually into my first revised opinion about Thunderfang. Honestly, I really do like this backstory. One thing that it does do is expand at least a little bit on the war between the dragon and the Oni, explaining away where a lot of the Oni actually went. Thunderfang possesses their souls because he absorbed them all. I think that is a really cool way of demonstrating why the Oni have been so lacking when it comes to Ninjago's lore. Of course, we saw a good deposit of Oni warriors in Season 10 or March of the Oni, but it definitely wasn't a full representation on the full scope of the species. We've seen so many dragons over the course of our time, and for there to be only one small group of Oni in the overall scale definitely just never sat right in my opinion. So it's cool to know that we actually understand where the rest of them was, and the amount that there was as well, because we got to see all of those Oni souls dispersed at the end of Part 1. This is now where I'll go at least a little bit into headcanon territory, but this also is, in my opinion, a really good way to demonstrate how Thunderfang may have succumbed to the evil that he was a part of eventually. Remember, at the end of the day, he was initially fighting as a part of the Dragon Army. He was on the side of creation or good by all accounts, and he didn't simply want to just be a Source Dragon of Chaos for no reason and for evil purposes. He just essentially thought that it was his time. He wasn't entirely evil by all accounts, and like I said, this is where I get into my own personal theory or headcanon. I believe the absorption of all of those Oni souls did genuinely change him. I think it did alter him fundamentally with all of that darkness and destruction within him. We know that souls do retain the powers and the abilities of the user, hence why Lloyd and Cole's souls were their own respective elemental color. But the thing is, like I said, is that if you have so much darkness within you, of course it will at some point affect you fundamentally. So yeah, I really do like this backstory by all account when it comes to Thunderfang. When you do consider that theory as well, it does show an interesting story on how a dragon essentially fell. And honestly, I kind of wish they expanded on it, which is by all accounts a complaint and is a net negative on the overall scheme, but at the same time, it's not that I overly mind it because we can still gather what we need to know from what we do know. I think another thing that links into this point of his backstory being really cool, that just in general, he's a very interesting twist on a villain when it does come to Ninjago. Like I said, he's a dragon and he served with the dragons. The dragons, by all accounts, except for the Overlord's dragon in season 2, were always portrayed as this good force within the universe. So to witness a dragon be the complete opposite and seeing the ninja have to deal with it was certainly a fun thing to see, and honestly something I'm surprised didn't really get explored earlier on. Like I said, it's not like we haven't seen evil dragons by all account before, but this is certainly one of the cases of a dragon being a part of the dragon army being different, and I just don't think that gets enough credit. This isn't the only thing though that I have been thinking about. There are two other main things that in retrospect I don't think I gave Thunderfang enough credit for, which is for one, his presence, and for two, his actual story impact. The thing is that both of these things do have some very real consequences on the overall force of Dragon's Rising. So let's actually start with the first one, his presence. So with presence, I'm not talking about his overall screen time. Spoiler, I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. The thing is the one thing that is abundantly clear is that when he is actually being treated as the main villain, he does it really well. In Season 3 Part 1, we get to see him be a genuine force of nature. Once he is freed, he does give the ninja a very real run for their money. He is definitely the person that has definitely given the biggest challenge for the ninja. The likes of other villains like Beatrix and Blecht and the Forbidden Five for that matter, they do pose a challenge but not in the same like as Thunderfang. Thunderfang wouldn't have actually been defeated if it wasn't for the fact that Aaron just by chance had that elixir. The thing is that the ninja had no real ability to truly stop him, and that's a first for them. That's not very common by all accounts, showing how powerful he was truly being. And even in Part 2 where he became spectral and he actually had less to be able to do, he was still extremely strong, requiring the Arc Dragon to focus once more to actually defeat him. Now, I'm not commenting on the fact that it was the exact same method to defeat him, but just simply put, in the most statistical point possible, one of the most powerful things imaginable was needed to get rid of him. So in terms of presence, he definitely did have it. And then with story impact, you don't realise it, but Thunderfang does have a very extreme knock-on effect before and after his respective season. Of course, he gives the Forbidden Five their powers, which causes them to take over the wilderness and ultimately be in the Neverspace, which causes Raz to call upon them and actually release them to be able to utilise their abilities to succeed in the reversing of the merge, then hence activating the ability to release Thunderfang, and then the ninja in the end upsetting the Source Dragons, causing the council to split, the disruption of elemental powers, Lloyd actually going to the Temple of the Green Ninja. All of it does have a knock-on effect, and Thunderfang is the cause. So whether it was intentional or not, and whether or not it was correctly written out, you can't deny the fact that he does have a very real purpose when it does come to Ninjago as a whole. The story of Dragon's Rising fundamentally relies on Thunderfang, which I just don't think gets enough credit. But look, I'm not going to deny the fact that Thunderfang does have very fundamental flaws in his character, and honestly at the consequence of both himself and other characters within the show. Even when revising my opinion on the character, I'm not blind enough to deny the fact that there are some very real issues here. I mean, for one, the just complete lack of screen time. The fact that he doesn't get too much and he's a main villain is definitely a massive shame. He should have gotten a lot more to really solidify himself. The best Ninjago villains are the ones that get lots of screen time, are the ones that get developed, the ones that actually have something to truly do within the story. Thunderfang just simply didn't have that. He stood around and waited for either the Forbidden Five or the Spectral Dragonians to basically do whatever he so desired. He was extremely hands-off, which is a complete net negative when it does come to what makes a good Ninjago villain. So yeah, regardless of how you look at the further context, his actual utilization was basically non-existent, and there's no way around that. And like I said as well, he just causes other characters to suffer in the long run, the main ones being the Forbidden Five. The Forbidden Five was set up throughout the entirety of Season 2, and were a team that definitely did have a lot of potential, and again, that's something I have discussed in the past. The thing is that he definitely did just get in the way of those characters actually having something to do. They just serve his purpose in Season 3 Part 1, get betrayed, go away within a moment's notice, and have no speaking lines in Part 2. That is, again, completely not defendable. That is something that will forever be really bad, and you could argue the Thunderfang is to blame for it, which, by all accounts, he is. But still, it's just a case of the Forbidden Five not being used correctly. The notion that the Forbidden Five were just taken out in favor of the fact that Thunderfang was in the sets, I don't think is just entirely true. It played a part, but not an overall part. It was very clear that Thunderfang was planned, just not really with the Forbidden Five in mind. But with those new points that I do give to Thunderfang in contrast to the points that are still against him, do I think he's a good villain? I don't know. I think there's a very good argument to suggest that he is. I think there is a massive argument to suggest that he does have some very good and redeeming aspects. But the problem is that all of the good stuff is stuff that is implied or told us just through conversation. The thing is that what we actually see of Thunderfang is just not good. It's just not what you want for a villain. If they took advantage of this story, this motivation, everything about him, he genuinely could have been something great. I don't think there was ever any repairing the Forbidden Five in this situation, but that's beside the point. But I do think Thunderfang just really did have something going for him, just not really executed properly. But does that make him a bad villain? I don't know. It makes him a wasted one, but doesn't make him bad or good. So that is why I feel like on an overall, this far down the line, I think I have definitely warmed up to the concept of Thunderfang. I don't think he's forgivable, and I don't think he stands up to the better villains of Dragon's Rising, but I do think he does just have something genuinely good going for him. I think when you do truly look into the character, you can find something genuinely fascinating, and I think that is amazing. It's just the fact that the writers didn't have the potential to really give him that on screen. And there are many factors that could go into why that's the case, and there's many things that I could comment on with that case, but I think just we can't change it, that's it. But looking into it, there definitely is something good there, and I'm just kind of sad that we never got to see it. But I'd love to know, what is your opinion on Thunderfang? Do you agree with any of the points I've made today? Have I possibly revised your opinion in any capacity? Is it a character that you think is completely irredeemable, or is it someone that could actually have something going for them, maybe if one day we get some extended media covering him? I would love to know your thoughts, because it's a character I've just been thinking about a lot. And there are many characters that I think about, and if you do like this video, I'll definitely do more of them. But I just wanted to get my Thunderfang thoughts out there, because I do find it fascinating, and I'd love to know what you guys think as well. But thank you very much for watching the video, and I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider subscribing. I love discussing Ninjago with more people, and if you do want to support the channel any further, which you do not have to, you could always become a channel member and join the legends that you see on screen. Each of you, your support means the absolute world to me, and I truly cannot thank you enough. But like I said, that's about it for today, and take care. Okay,